Welcome to the Bold Goal Crusher podcast for anyone looking to stop letting life get in the way and start crushing bold goals. I'm your host, Sara Mayer, and I'm thrilled to navigate this journey with you because it's time to start boldly achieving without working double time. So let's dive in. Hello, Bold Goal Crushers. I hope you're doing well. I had so many comments about my last episode, solo episode, about are you creating a business that you love or a business that you dread? That I thought we'd go a little deeper into this topic. And I want to talk about setting goals for business. We talk a lot about setting goals as an individual, but many of you are in business or wanting to start a business. And business goals are a little bit different than personal goals. So we all know that I love good goals and that many people set goals at the beginning of the year, but it's never too late to set goals or go back and change your goals. And there is tremendous power in setting quarterly goals. And quarterly goals for business really are what are critical for your business to succeed. What are the goals that are critical for your business to succeed? It's important for your business to stay focused, but it's also important for your business to be agile and also accountable. So there are some businesses that have these lengthy 5-year strategic plans and quarterly goal setting, but the climate these days doesn't really allow for 5-year goals. There are too many things that are not known. Now, you may have a 5-year vision. In 5 years, we want to be here. But really, when you're talking about what you want to achieve and having one of those strategic plans that just, quite frankly, sits on the shelf and nobody looks at is not ideal for business. Now, even if you're a sole entrepreneur, you may be like, nobody looks at it because I'm the only body. It's okay. You can benefit from setting quarterly goals. So you may be thinking about my goal right now is just for my business to survive and for me to make money. But what should my goals be? And I think it's really important to break down some of the key areas for business goal setting. So the first one is revenue and sales targets. And there's really a lot of people try not to look at their sales targets because they love doing their thing. And that may be you. You got into business because you love doing whatever it is your business is about. So, for example, you may be a designer and you love designing things, but you don't really like selling the fact that you're designing things. You're a service provider and you love providing the service, and that's okay. But you do need to have sales targets and you do need to have revenue goals in order to ensure that you can keep doing the thing you want to do. So when you are setting revenue and sales targets, you do want to be a little ambitious, but you want to look at historical data, market trends, and also some growth projections that you can make. I think I could add 5 more clients and then therefore I would reach this amount. But many of you know I have a sales background and I also have a fundraising background, which is very similar to sales. And these numbers can't just be numbers that you pull out of the air. So, for example, sales targets, if you know that you, in order to make X amount of dollars, which is your revenue goal, you need to really look at how are you going to get to that goal and back into that. So if your goal, I'm just going to use easy numbers because I'm not real good at math. So if your goal is to make $100,000 and your average, I could get out my trusty calculator, but if your goal is to make $100,000 and your average customer ticket, like the cost to work with you is $10,000, then you know that you need a minimum of 10 clients. But remember, that's the average. So you might set a goal to acquire 15 clients. And if you know in order to get 15 clients,
You probably, everybody you talk to, every other one, sign up to work with you. Then you know that you need to talk to 30 people. And so I want you to take that number, your revenue number, and maybe it's just some number you have in your head, but break it down just like that. How many clients do I need to work with to reach that number? Add a few. How many clients do I need to, how many people do I need to talk to become potential clients? And then take it one step further. When you do outreach, when you're trying to find your clients, either through direct reach, social media, or if you're doing calling or buying a list or anything like that, how many outreach attempts do you need to make in order to get on 30 phone calls? And those are the numbers. When we talk about goals, your revenue goal may have been just a number that you pulled out of the air, but those numbers to get to that goal, they need to be realistic. And maybe you need to adjust that number. Or if you're like, hey, I talked to a lot of people, if I could just move the needle so that I actually close 75% of the people, I'll be able to achieve this goal quicker or I'll exceed my revenue goal. But it's really about the activity, getting down to the goal, the objective or the task that moves the needle on how many clients you will have. And then you need to think about when you're providing the service, if you actually can deliver the service to 15 people a year. So, for example, I had a client when we were talking about pricing. She decided she wanted to double her revenue for the year, which was great. That was a goal she had. And then we were working on the tactics, the things that you need to do to achieve the goal. They could be called mini goals. And I said, so you want to double the revenue you make? Yes. Are you willing to work double the hours or are you going to hire someone? And she said, no, I don't want to hire someone. I want to make more money. And I said, you currently charge per hour. So how are you going to do that? And so it's really important when we're setting those revenue goals that they're realistic, but we also take them down the funnel to make sure we know how we're going to get there. And if you know that you need to talk to 30 people to get 15 clients, you can do that and you can check that off your box and track it. And that's what's really important when we talk about revenue goals is that I've worked with fundraisers for years on budgets and they would say, we're going to raise $1 million. Walk me through how you're going to do that because every year you've only raised 400,000. Do you have a plan? Do you have the activity? Do you know what the activities are that then drive your sales revenue? All right. So that one's always top of the list. The second one for goal setting is your customer acquisition and retention. And we talked a little bit about that. And customer acquisition, how are you getting your customers? How are you finding them? How are you making sure that you have a pipeline? And are you tracking that pipeline so that you realistically know if you're on track to hit your goals or not? But also, how are you retaining some of the customers that may be doing repeat work? What are your plans for that? And how are you going to improve the customer loyalty? And those are some goals that you could set. I want to retain 50% of my customers or have them ask for 50% of them to ask for additional work. And then you create tactics around how you're doing that. So your goal is to acquire more customers and retain the customers you have. Your tactics are how you're going to do about that. What are the other ways, which I talked about, that you can really tweak your goal achievement or your business is by really looking at operational efficiency and productivity. So there are goals where you can have around, I want to spend less time selling and more time creating designs, or I want to spend less time designing and more time building my business. And it's really important to know where you sit as a business owner, because as you set those revenue goals, you might need to bring on other people, and bringing on those other people will only help you so that you are able to do more of what you love in the business. But you need to get clear on how you're bringing in the money, the revenue, what the revenue goal is, how you're doing it. So you can also take a look at some of the processes that you have in your business. Are you doing things that maybe you shouldn't do any longer? Are you paying too much for certain things? And those are goals that you can set, and then you can add some tactics to change that. So it's really important to think about your business every quarter when it comes to those different types of goals you might have and tactics. Now, many people measure their performance using key performance indicators. So that may be measuring progress towards these business goals, measuring the progress towards meeting with a certain number of clients to close them. And you can create those key performance indicators for yourself. You can almost measure anything just by assigning a value to it. Some of it may be a little ambiguous, but those values, as long as you're consistently assigning them and you're consistent in how you assign them, do allow you to measure your progress. All right. One of the things that happens when we set goals is that when you're pursuing quarterly goals with tactics that you're going to do every quarter, the goals may be yearly goals, but the tactics are every quarter. Sometimes you fall behind or sometimes you're way ahead. And so it's really important to think about those goals that you have set and those tactics. And even when you're ahead, remember that you may have downtime in the summer and predicting those things. Quarterly goal setting for business is a great way, and celebrating success is always one of the ways that you will keep yourself motivated. So if your goal is to make X number of dollars this year, and you need to talk to 30 clients or 15 or 30 people to close 15, which is your number, and you talk to 30, that should be a celebration. Whether they said yes or no, you did the activity, which is the lever to then activate that goal to help you achieve that goal. I think it's really important to do business goal setting. It's a little different than personal goal setting, but not that much. And if you are in business or a sole entrepreneur, quarter's almost up. Couple more weeks in March and we'll be on a new quarter. And it's never too late to get started crushing your goals and everything that gets in the way. So let's get to it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bold Goal Crusher podcast, where we crush goals and everything that gets in the way. I always love to support my community. I look forward to seeing you crush your goals this year.